Story 1. I will drink whatever I want to drink at the bar, and I can get beer anywhere. I am going to pick the fruity drink. Story 2. All the nonsense about being controlled if you actively enjoy spending time with your partner. She is intelligent and hilarious. She always has some interesting perspectives on things and brightens my day. Sometimes she even touches me affectionately. If you do not enjoy spending time with your partner, why are you with them? Story 3. Do not sit down to urinate. Standing is often more convenient, especially in the dark, and it helps keep the toilet cleaner. Story 4. If I shake it more than 3 times, I am playing with myself. If I shake it less, I get pee down my leg. Story 5. If my boyfriend is out there actively cheating on his girlfriend, I am going to tell her. I do not care. Nobody deserves that. I expect the same if my girlfriend cheats on me and her friends tell me, or even if my friends tell me. A partner keeping secrets is one thing, but if everybody knows the secret except me, that is worse. Story 6. I have a skin and hair care routine, and I definitely do not use those all-in-one products. When men ask why I have all these lotions and face products, I jokingly but somewhat seriously tell them that I am not trying to look like a raisin when I get older. Story 7. I ignore the unwritten no drinking fancy fruity cocktails rule that has been in place in our country since it was colonized. Story 8. Have dirty, filthy hands. For some reason, that equates to being a hard worker. I thought at one point people would see me as manly when I walked into the store in my dirty, sweaty, bright orange shirt. Then I realized no, that is gross. I hate being dirty, and good hygiene should always be a priority, even if you do get dirty from working outdoors like me. Cleaning up, smelling fresh, and having well-kept facial hair is a huge plus. Story 9. Brothers before hoes. My wife is not a hoe, so I can happily say to the guys, I am hanging out with my wife tonight. They respect that. Story 10. I don't know. I've never read the rules. My manliness isn't so fragile as to rely on identity politics. That said, I had a friend who often acted like some actions were an affront to manhood, so based on my memory of this guy, hugging other men, shedding tears, wearing safety gear where it is not required by law or contract and does not improve quality of life, for example, wearing elbow pads for skateboarding, while knee pads in construction are often cited for comfort as well, holding the door for a man until he enters, and not just until he takes the door from you, having female friends or even treating them equally when not actively interested in a sexual relationship. I kept pointing out that he was in his 30s and had no lasting relationships because of his toxic masculinity. Story 11. I switch between drying the face or the genital area first when getting out of the shower. I just do not care. I will not catch any germs. Story 12. No interest in sports, will be vulnerable in front of my partner. Have zero interest in fighting to demonstrate my manhood. Story 13. You need to work more than 50 hours a week. I hate that most men always compare who worked the most hours or who does the longest shifts. I could not care less. My bills are paid, I have a few dollars, and my significant other is happy. I am not killing myself to hate everything and everyone by the time I am 40. Story 14. When I was about 19 or 20, my dad taught me how to change oil. Over the course of the year, we changed the oil on his car and my car a total of about 3 or 4 times. After the last time we changed the oil on my car, he said, "So, you understand how to do this? It's pretty easy, right? You don't need to be a genius to change oil. Okay, now don't ever do it again. It's such a pain to get underneath this thing and drain the oil. And don't even get me started on getting rid of the oil. Back when you were little, we used to just dump it down the drain, but that's really bad. Trust me, it's worth $50 to have someone do it for you. I don't change my own oil." Story 15. If I see an open conflict, I have to jump in and play the hero. No, I prefer not having assault charges on my record or any charges at all. Story 16. Not wearing earplugs or proper personal protective equipment because I still want to preserve my hearing and keep my hands smooth and free of dirt and oil. Story 17. All of them. I just do what works for me. I do some things that fit in with man rules and some that do not, but it is just me being myself. Story 18. Bottling up emotions and not going to therapy. I refuse to live my one life miserable because society says it is what men do. Forget that. Story 19. All of them? Don't let anybody put you in a box. I am a nerdy athlete who plays Dungeons and Dragons one night and rides mountain bikes the next. I am a shallow intellectual who loves the theater, good books, and National Football League football. I am a terrible dancer, but I do not care what anyone thinks. I love breweries and flower shows. I love backpacking and gardening. Story 20. P standing up. No thank you. There is a chair with a hole. I am lazy and do not like cleaning the backsplash. Story 21. Anything with drinks. I am going to order a fruity drink or a glass of wine if I want. I do not understand why it is considered masculine to only drink things that taste bad. Story 22. I sit when I urinate unless I am urinating outside. My masculinity is not fragile. I do not care what anyone thinks. I also cry sometimes, share my emotions, tell my kids I love them many times a day, and drink fruity mixed drinks. I am a framer and bought a used pair of Vans for the roof last month. They were only $10 and like new. They were multicolored, which I do not care about. When I got to work, the older guys, I am 31, tried picking on me as if they were inappropriate shoes or something. I laughed and said, "What are you afraid of? Some colors? If your masculinity is so fragile that you think a pair of shoes makes you less of a man, you are not a real man. Also, urinating standing up is unpleasant. Stop doing it. Sit down on the seat. You're spreading urine all over your bathroom. It is very unsanitary. It is nicer to sit down, relax, and urinate. I am standing all day. Why would I want to stand while going to the bathroom?" Story 23. While I would say I am generally manly, I am happy to say that I am extremely open and frequently communicate with my girlfriend about my emotions. Story 24. Before we all had a global positioning system in our pocket, I would stop and ask for directions. I hate being lost. If I do not know something, I will ask. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Story 25. Refusing overtime because I do not need it. I am not being weak. Just give it to someone who wants or needs the money. I would rather spend time with my family. Story 26. Any kind of code that helps someone do something wrong is not acceptable. I will not play along while you try to cheat on your spouse or lie to someone to get what you want. One example is when I used to sell marijuana. One customer offered me explicit photos of his girlfriend in exchange for an eighth, about $50 at the time. I took a screenshot and sent it to his girlfriend. According to him, I violated this code. Unfortunately, she believed him when he said the screenshot was fake, and I lost both of them as customers. Part of me wishes I had accepted the offer just so there would be undisputed proof that he shared her photos. Story 27. Only one trip for groceries. Bags are weak now. I shop for the month because I hate the crowds at the store. Who am I trying to impress carrying over 200 pounds of food and drink from the car, up the stairs, past my wife and dog, and finally to the kitchen? No, I will take as many trips as needed, and if you think that's unmanly, then take your negative, judgmental attitude and carry your own groceries. Thank you. Rant over. Story 28. I recently saw a post asking about the number one unwritten rule for men. The top comment was brothers before others. I want to say that you are a bad friend if one of your brothers is acting badly and you do not confront them about it. That rule means I love my friends and will not let a relationship come between my friendships, but I also will not let my friends treat someone poorly because they are jealous. Story 29. The quiet, stoic type. While introverted, I can and will start a conversation with anyone I find interesting enough. Story 30. I don't drive a truck and I don't much care for them. I have multiple pairs of boxer briefs with flowers on them. My workout shirts are similarly girly in color. I use the same body wash and cocoa butter my wife does. Not getting any more personal than that. A couple of man rules I'm happy to follow are enjoying mowing the grass, drinking beer before, during, and after such, doing work in the garage and grilling or smoking. Story 31. Sometimes I hate my leg hair and shave it smooth. Feels great. I am a slightly overweight career machinist, not a gym enthusiast or super thin athletic type. The overall internet attitude towards men removing body hair has shifted in recent years. However, I do feel like I am breaking some outdated man rule as a smooth-skinned blue-collar worker. So stupid. I honestly do not care though. It feels so good to snuggle with my wife when we are both smooth. Story 32. I prefer urinating while sitting down rather than standing. It is more comfortable and eliminates the risk of missing. Showing emotions, talking about them, being affectionate, and being open about them with friends. Story 33. Listening to popular female artists. I do not give a f asterisk asterisk asterisk. I do not care if her songs are cringe. Just let me enjoy my moment. Not every song you listen to has to be metal, rock, or hood rap. Story 34. I will say, wow, that is a handsome guy. If people look at me strangely, they are free to go jump in the lake. Story 35. While I like competing, I don't mind if someone else wins and will congratulate them. The drive to be number one can get in the way of respecting the competition and doing your best at that moment. Other than that, I'm too old to care about the man code, which is a new term that refers back to a time when men were worse off. Just look at the current United States administration as an example of why man code doesn't work or look good for anyone. If you see Old Yeller and want to cry at the end of the movie, go for it. If an Applidini is your drink of choice, so be it. If you use skincare products because you believe the marketing, enjoy it. Story 36. Take care of my safety and hygiene. Be willing to have depth and emotions. Do not need to dominate others to feel secure. Story 37. It is unacceptable. There must be a rule because too many men do not wash their hands after using a public restroom. It is completely unacceptable. Story 38. I will not be brave when there is a spider, and anything is a viable object for eliminating the spider. I was bitten enough by the little creatures in childhood, and out of all my childhood fears, arachnophobia has not lessened even now in my mid-20s. Story 39. I slept when we went over the main rules in primary school. I have been trying to catch up ever since, but it seems like I am never going to catch up. Story 40. Brothers before hoes. Now, if you act poorly, I will treat you accordingly. I will always support the side that is right, not just my male friend because he is my male friend. Story 41. If given the choice between a manly glass of beer and a fruity cocktail, I will choose the cocktail every time. Story 42. The need to be an alpha. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like a sex trafficker is not really the best role model. Yet the fixation some young men have on following this individual to be an alpha is strange to me. I call an alpha an incomplete product, broken, insecure men out of place. Some men need to focus less on being an alpha and more on being the release candidate. That begins with ignoring people like Tate. Story 43. When asked to do the heavy lifting because that is a man's job, I always tell people that next time I will bring my dirty laundry and expect a home-cooked meal after work because that is a woman's job. It never fails to open some eyes. Story 44. I hate anybody who tells me what a real man should be or do. Like, go away. You're an 18-year-old girl without a dad. I don't think you can tell me that I'm not a real man. This goes for those so-called alpha males too. You're 35 and live in your mom's basement. If that isn't a real man, laugh out loud. Story 45. That I have to be the one to initiate. I am fairly young and have tried and failed enough times to realize it is not worth it. If a woman likes me, she will let me know. If not, I do not mind dying alone. At least I will take my chronic disease-ridden genetics with me. Story 46. Being cold, emotionless, or hiding your feelings is not my way. I wear my emotions proudly and love deeply. Other than that, I am pretty much a normal person. Story 47. Most, to be honest. The vast majority of rules you hear about being a man are just nonsense that serves no purpose other than making you isolated from everyone around you. Or they are rules that make it sound like men are actually helpless without a woman around to take care of them, which is honestly just kind of sad. Story 48. Pretty much all. Life is too short to worry about what a bunch of complainers have to say. They can stay miserable while I enjoy my life. Story 49. I actually enjoy cooking dinner for my family. I also find doing the dishes and laundry to be very therapeutic. Story 50. I like an espresso martini once in a while. I love coffee and alcohol, so what is wrong with both at the same time? Story 51. I care nothing for how someone's handshake feels. There is no correlation between a firm handshake or a soft one and a person's confidence or ability. I am strong enough, but if the handshake becomes awkward, you might squeeze my soft fingers or the opposite could happen. Some people cannot control the clamminess or sweat of their hands. The idea that a firm handshake signifies a good deal or a good person is outdated. I have met construction workers with the softest hands and concert piano players with strong fingers. It means nothing about who a person is. Story 52. I do not care about sports. I like to exercise, but I am not wasting my time watching another person doing it. Also, I do not care about chivalry. Story 53. Any of the foolish ones associated with femininity or not letting another man inadvertently see my genitalia. I literally could not care less. Come to think of it, this applies to probably all of the guidelines. Story 54. I do not know. Have you had a crisp white wine, a hot bath, talked to a therapist a few times in life? That helped tremendously. I tell my lifelong male friends we love each other. I cook. If it were not for me, my wife and I would have 0 live plants and flowers. I picked all the furniture and original art in the house. It looks great. Story 55. I do not know, but the older men in my life always think I am a metrosexual for taking care of my body. Story 56. This double texting or texting rules, like response time, are unnecessary. If I like you romantically or as a friend, I will text you that way. It is that simple. Story 57. Titanic is genuinely one of the greatest films ever made. Also, I am not interested in cars, although I do enjoy racing series like the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing or Formula One. If I could at least get into competing in late model racing, I would. Story 58. I have seen memes where men talk to each other for extended periods but never ask for each other's names. I always felt that was silly, so I will gladly break that rule. Story 59. Basically, anything men do to attract women but is actually done so other men will think they are cool. If you're looking for examples, simply think of any stereotypical masculine trait. Big beard, baseball hat to hide baldness, big truck, big tires on a truck, grayscale American flag imagery, tactical clothing, truck accessories, eat steak at every meal and avoid vegetables, makes fun of or hates marginalized groups such as transgender people and gay individuals. Story 60. I drive the speed limit, prefer fruity mixed drinks, enjoy long conversations, cry at funerals, and do not worry about any other rules. Society's expectations of men are often flawed, and worrying about masculinity reflects insecurity rather than true manhood. It is okay to feel insecure. It is better to acknowledge and work through those feelings than to pretend you are fine while constantly trying to prove your masculinity to others. Story 61. If the goal of the man rule is to show how alpha you are, it just makes you look like a joke. Be a good human. That is all you need to be. Story 62. Thankfully, I have reached nearly 53 without knowing what these rules are. Like most people say, I do what I feel comfortable doing, and that is about it. Story 63. As many of those negative things as possible. Forget all that toxic nonsense. Be a good human. Like what you like, don't interfere with other people and just be kind. Story 64. Almost all of them because most are just be miserable so people respect you, or be an obnoxious person so you can get laid. Story 65. All of them. If you want to be controlled by the expectations of others, you do you. I will do what I want regardless of what conformity says. Story 66. I have had worse friends who did not agree. A couple of them are no longer friends because they decided I was spending time with my then girlfriend instead of drinking with them. Story 67. I was having difficulty finding examples of this, but reading the comments, I am one of those who peace-sitting. I do not know if this counts, but I shorten my facial hair with scissors instead of razors, which is probably uncommon. I also stay away from romance because I am aromantic. Story 68. None of them. It is all nonsense. When they tell you to be honorable, those are the people who are the least honorable, if you want to call it that. Story 69. Not sure who would have the authority to make these rules in the first place, so I will ignore everyone who tries to tell me what a man should do, be, have, or think. It is just random people running up to you and screaming, "Wear this helmet on your head right now, because I say so. No thanks, mind your own business." Story 70. Most of these rules are unreasonable, such as being an emotionless robot or feeling insecure about interests considered feminine. I think the rule about urinals is especially illogical, as some men wait just to use an empty stall. I simply use any available urinal, and I am not concerned if someone looks at me. Story 71. I am not keeping secrets if I know my friend is cheating on his girlfriend. You tell her or I will, and I will not be subtle about it. Story 72. All of the traditional man rules are ridiculous. They are for angry individuals and the self-proclaimed alphas who exploit others. I like being happy and friends with women. I love many traditional hobbies, but I also enjoy expressing my feminine side. The rules are for insecure and weak men. Story 73. I do not follow any team sports or any sports in general. I will watch the snooker final because it is a gentleman's game of true skill. Story 74. I am not checking on that scary noise in the night. She is a strong, independent woman, and as her partner, I will support her while she investigates possible intruders from the safety of my bed. Story 75. Do not date or be intimate with another man's ex-partner or situationship. Just talk to them about it and see if they are comfortable. If not, do nothing. If they are comfortable, you may proceed. I have experienced this and have done it once. I would not recommend doing it with someone's ex if there is conflict involved. Story 76. My main rule is live your life your way. Don't worry if others see it as macho, conservative, feminine, or gay. If it seems unpleasant or childish, it does not matter. As long as you are not actively harming others, being your true self is the most courageous thing a person can do. Story 77. Man rules? I guess when you are 60 or close to it, these kinds of things do not apply to you because you are finally free enough to not need someone else's standards in your life. Story 78. I am not concerned if I have to make more than one trip. It is a better alternative to risking spilling or dropping items that could spoil easily. Story 79. If I need to urinate, I will use an open urinal. I think it is stranger not to use an open urinal than to urinate next to someone else. Story 80. I don't know what the rules are, but why do men, even in this comment section, talk about urinating while sitting down as if they are trying to normalize it? It is not any more convenient to urinate sitting down, and if you consider it a hindrance to urinate standing up, I suggest you get checked by a doctor. Urinating the way we have since the dawn of man is not toxic masculinity. Story 81. None of them. Thankfully, I have more emotional intelligence and critical thinking skills than a brick wall. Story 82. I do not know what any of them are, so all of them. If I knew them, probably still all of them. It is my life and I will do what I want. Story 83. The only rules I adhere to are laws. For many foolish rules, the only reason to follow them is the threat of state-sanctioned physical violence and prison time. Therefore, it is safe to assume there are plenty of rules I ignore. Story 84. I have no problem using a urinal next to another man if that is the nearest available one. That is what they are there for. Story 85. I do not care about sports. I like to exercise, but I am not wasting my time watching another person doing it. Also, I do not care about chivalry. Story 86. Men on Reddit get so weird about urinal etiquette sometimes. I'll choose a urinal not next to anyone if there is one available, but if the only free one is next to one being used, I'm going to use it. It's just a bathroom. We are there for 30 seconds to urinate. People need to get over it. Story 87. Bro code of not dating a friend's ex or something similar. I have not done it, but it is not a rule I live by anyway. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.